Assalamu alaikum everybody. In today's video, I'm gonna show you what Elon Musk said about the cause behind the universe and how it relates to the most famous Kalam cosmological argument.
Do you believe in like a god or like a higher power?
Well, something created the universe, or the universe is, here. How did it come to be? You could say whatever caused the universe to come to be is God, or gods, depending on your view. Philosophy, I think, makes sense is to go out there and to expand consciousness so that we're better able to answer the questions of like, what is the meaning of life? What is the nature of the universe? Like, how do molecules have consciousness? But somehow we went from a bunch of hydrogen gas and then an assemblage of complex molecules like ourselves that can feel and talk and think. I mean, just if you leave hydrogen out long enough, it starts talking to itself, basically, is what happened.
I think his main argument can be summed up in 3 points. Something created the universe. We are here, the universe exists. And so how did it happen? Basically, something had to create it. So whether that thing is God or multiple gods or anything like that, something exists. And that thing can give us quite a lot of answers on the questions such as purpose of life, or why are we here, what happens after we die. In a more structured terms, I would say, as I outlined in my book, Rational Belief in God, which you can get for free on the link. It's a very short booklet about this cosmological arguments for dummies, where I outline this process of thinking. So we start off with basically asking about the universe, because why? Well, it requires an explanation. Why? Because you live in this world, you live in this life, you don't know how you got here, you don't know where you're going, you don't know anything about this experience. You are born in a body, in some culture, to some parents, but you basically don't have any control over maybe what's your color of the skin or anything like that. But you do have a control of thinking and just kind of figuring out like, okay, what's this life about? Because I'm here, I didn't ask to be created, but I am here somehow. So how did I get here? These are very basic questions. Even the universe, you can extrapolate and ask, so how is this earth here? So people had theories in the past, Vikings, different people had different theories. But usually most people came to conclusion, okay, there's some force, there's something beyond the physical world, the material, which created this universe, and then they had many religions or whatever. The universe itself requires an explanation, and now with scientific evidence we can look more into it. So the first point is really, it requires an explanation. There's no, you need it to operate in this world. So to make decisions about how we should govern ourselves, what should be our life about, what's the meaning of our life, you need to know how, at least kind of have some idea of how this universe began to exist. And this is a key word, began to exist, because so far we know through maybe philosophy, but also through science, we know this universe, the entire universe began to exist at some point. That point is called singularity, about approximately 13.7 billion years ago. So it has been established through science, but also through philosophical training, where if you go far back enough, even Aristotle said there must have been a beginning of the entire universe, or the heavens, let's say, because there's no way this process can continue forever, because that would be contradiction, because we live in the present moment, there wouldn't be any past. And so it's logical that there has been a beginning, and so this was established. And it's now taken as a fact that this universe and everything, all the time, matter and energy were created in the Planck's time, or maybe a few milliseconds after the Big Bang was everything created. And since then it's been expanding, and it's going to expand until it evaporates. That's the future of our universe. That's a depressing future for our universe. And Elon wants to escape to Mars, but I'm not sure it's going to help in the long run anyways, because we're going to collide our galaxies with Andromeda and it's going to be a mess. Beyond that, we all are going to evaporate at some point. Even Stephen Hawking predicted this. The only thing that's going to remain are black holes, and they will evaporate as well. So at some point there's going to be nothingness in the universe. All right, since we got this out of the way and we know what's the future, let me dig deeper into this argument, because it's not so depressing. So since we know universe began to exist and things can't come from nothing, So we know it must have been caused by something. This was Elon's logic as well, because everything that begins to exist has a cause. Now, the key word is begin to exist. Not everything that forever exists requires a cause. Only things who began to exist, which will begin to exist, require a cause behind them. Now, some people might say, wait, hold a second. You don't need cause if you don't have time. Well, hold on a second. You must have causality even before time exists. Causality itself is a priori concept, so it doesn't matter that the time maybe didn't exist before the Big Bang. It still applies that even outside of the universe, you have the laws of causality. So we are left with 4 options. 2 of them are more, let's say, logical than the others. Well, the first option is, and this was dismissed already, that the universe created itself. Now, this would be possible, but even the word universe, what is it? It's all the planets, all the stars, all the holes, all the particles in the universe. So essentially, it's made of parts, right? It's made of planets. The universe is just a concept. It would be like saying, my mother gave birth to herself. It's a contradiction because the universe itself is the creation. So it's already here. It has been created. It did not create itself. So this would be very illogical to claim that something like this could occur. Some people go there and they claim that the universe is the answer. But if we just think about it more deeply, the universe, you mean like the planet Earth is in the universe. So that's the answer to our life, because many people say, oh, the universe is calling me, or the universe will take care of that. But the universe itself is just a collection of all these things. So why would you kind of worship or, I don't know, direct your feelings towards the universe when it's just things out in the universe? It's just all that. Well, why not go and think about what caused the universe to exist? That's the thing you should be thinking of. All right, the second option is that nothing has created the universe. There's several problems here. First of all, by nothing, we don't mean quantum vacuum, we mean complete nothingness. And from nothingness, nothing can come. This is an undisputed fact, and it's really that simple. It's quite intuitive. You don't have to even explain it. You can explain it to the scientists or to the children. It's pretty clear that if you have nothing, if you have lack of something, it does not create, and that it definitely can't create a universe. So to bet your entire, let's say you have this roulette, you have these 4 options, you're betting your entire life and afterlife maybe on this option like nothing. All right, what are the 2 more probable options? Well, there's the 5th one, I forgot. The 5th one is that I don't care. Okay, so we'll leave that to the side. All right, we have another 2 options. So the universe was created by something, and this something was also created. So what can this be? This can be virtual reality. We can live in a simulation now that is simulated by aliens, and this is a very kind of this theory is promoted in the biological sense with the Darwinian evolution, where some of the crazy people like Dawkins actually came out and said that the first cell on the Earth, which everything kind of was formed from there, it was very complex, by the way, and this cell came to Earth through through different galaxies or aliens or whatever. Okay, so the next question is, okay, even if aliens brought it here, so who created them? And then he kind of goes into this circle mode where he says, well, obviously the process of evolution. But we just established the evolution doesn't even here make sense, because this first cell, you can't even explain its existence. So, this theory of somebody bringing life here, it's very popular, but again, it doesn't make sense. So you have the theory of, virtual simulation, whatever. Then you have multiverse theory, you have multiple universes, whether finite or infinite. The problem with infinite is, well, if they are infinite, so they didn't have a beginning, they were just there forever. But what created those universes? Those infinite universes, because if none of them was first because they are infinite, so then it's like a loophole, but something had to create them because they still exist and they require explanation, as we discussed. So it's a very illogical way of thinking. Now you can say maybe we have a limited number of multiverses. All right, cool option. But then again, we go back to, okay, there was one first multiverse, okay, which was created by who or what? There's still a cause behind this series of multiverses, and there still requires an explanation. So you're basically just moving the ball further because you don't want to jump the gun or jump to some explanations right now, which I completely understand. And so what are we left with? We're left with the fourth option, which I think makes more sense if you are a rational human being, that the universe was created, which we established, it began to exist, and it was caused, which we know also, that it was caused by something which is uncaused. Now, why do I say this? Well, because it didn't begin to exist. So this cause didn't, it's not like it doesn't have to begin to exist. No, it can't begin to exist, because if this cause began to exist, we're basically at the multiverse problem again, because we would have to explain its existence and who created this and who created that and all that. Where in this scenario, you have basically a thing which is not bound by time, space, or something like that, because those concepts were created inside this universe within the first few seconds or a few milliseconds Planck time. It has always been there. It's eternal. Everything depends on this thing. It created the universe. It's the cause behind it. And it doesn't require an explanation or the cause behind it, because it is eternal. So it's not a series of infinite events like a multiverse. This thing literally doesn't have a beginning. It doesn't require an explanation. And it explains all the previous things or all the things in existence. Now, what this thing has to have in common, as Elon Musk said, well, I believe this thing must exist because we are here and we were created, so this thing had to exist. And so whether it's one god or two gods or something like that, he's not sure. So on that note, it's just quite simple argument where you can't have multiple gods, because basically you can't have two eternal, independent, all-powerful things. You can just have one, because if you had two, there would be obviously a clash. And you would also have to explain, well, hey, if there are 3 or 4 gods or things, which began to exist first, or which is first? Are they all eternal? Like, this is kind of like a problem, right? Because you would have instability in the universe if you have something that created this universe, but 4 of the things created it with 4 different wills, let's say. This would be very bad. So basically, it's quite intuitive. People are born with a belief in one God only, but this thing decided to create a universe, because universe is temporary, this thing is eternal. So there had to be a decision made, because otherwise you would just have a eternal thing forever with no universe, no life, nothing. But something happened, something began. There must have been a conscious decision being made, or a will demonstrated, to bring about change in the world. And this can only be done through will. So pretty simple. What we've done, we've established that God must exist, and he's one, unique, without partners, and he is the cause behind the universe. Now, which religion says this? Islam. Which religion has the concept of one God? Only Islam. All the other ones, even if they claim it, they have corrupted their teachings, whether with the Trinity or with the weird attributes to God. I would invite everyone to study Tawheed, which is the oneness of Allah. And when you look at that, you will quickly understand that, oh man, this is exactly what we just talked about. And also you will understand that, there's many surahs in the Quran which kind of talk about this stuff. For example, Surah Ikhlas, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. All those stuff are out there. So that's my message to Elon. Check out Islam and you convert. He's one of the richest men, one of the smartest men, and he came to the conclusion that this must be the case. Now, if from this moment he would just look at other religions, he would find out, okay, this doesn't make sense. Many gods, many gods, many gods, many gods, or conflicting things. Gods are weak. They, and then you would just come to like 3 main things, like Islam, Christianity, and maybe Judaism, and then you could kind of sift through it and see like, oh, okay, this Tawheed sounds interesting, and then Elon will become a Muslim. Anyways, yeah, so I'm very happy about this, and I'm not simping about Elon, but I'm just happy that, he's someone who's influencing world affairs, and he came to this conclusion. Maybe he's gonna go further research this topic, even though a few weeks ago he claimed he's not afraid to go to hell. Maybe he should be. So check it out, Elon, don't worry. And assalamu alaikum. Hope it made sense. And get the book. See you later, guys.